Ever notice how some people just ask for help? Like, no hesitation, they'll text a friend, call their boss, raise their hand, no shame. No second guessing, but not you. You see a problem and your first instinct is figuring it out alone, even when you're drowning, even when it's ridiculous. You'll lie awake at 3 in the morning, stressed about something you could solve in 10 minutes if you just reached out. Here's the thing that freaks me out. Your brain didn't just decide this on its own. Someone taught it to you. And most of the time, you don't even remember who. This isn't about being independent. This isn't about being strong. This is about a pattern your mind picked up, probably before you were 10 years old, and it's been running on autopilot ever since. And the crazy part? Once you understand how this pattern actually got installed, you can finally disconnect from it. I'm going to show you exactly how this happens in the brain, why you avoid asking for help even when your life would be better if you did, and more importantly, how to rewire it so asking for help feels natural as breathing. Let's talk about what this actually looks like in your life right now. You're dealing with something difficult. Maybe it's work stuff, maybe your relationship is rough, maybe you're overwhelmed and you literally cannot think straight. Your nervous system is fried, and somewhere in your head, this voice shows up, not loud, just there. It says, you should be able to handle this yourself. So what do? You don't tell anyone. You spiral in private. You try harder. You Google for answers at midnight. You stay up debugging your life when you should be sleeping. Meanwhile, your friend Sarah calls you with an identical problem and you immediately say, "Hey, let me help." You don't even hesitate. You drop everything. But when the situation flips, when you need support, you ghost the situation. You withdraw. You convince yourself it's not that bad, or you're being weak, or people are too busy anyway. This creates this insane gap, a canyon, between how you treat others and how you let others treat you. And get this, your brain doesn't see this as a problem, it sees it as loyalty, as strength. Your mind is literally rewarding you for suffering alone. That's the trap. The thing is, you probably have no idea where this came from. You didn't wake up at age 7 and decide, I'm going to develop an aversion to vulnerability. It wasn't a conscious choice. It happened because of small moments, tiny interactions, things someone said or didn't say, actions they took or didn't take. And your developing brain just learned. It learned that asking was dangerous or weak, or would push people away, or would disappoint them, or would make you a burden. Those beliefs got encoded early, really early, and now 20 or 30 years later, they're still running your decisions without you even knowing it. Here's what most people don't understand about this. It's not about willpower. It's not about being braver or more confident. Your avoidance of asking for help isn't a character flaw. It's an adaptation. Your mind is trying to protect you based on information it received when you were vulnerable and small. Let's get into how this actually works in your brain, because understanding the mechanism is the first step to dismantling it. Your brain is basically a pattern recognition machine. Its job is to keep you safe, to predict danger, to learn from experience. When you're a kid, and this is the critical window, your brain is in learning mode on overdrive. You're absorbing everything. If your parent was stressed when you asked for help, your brain registered stress. If they said things like, "I don't have time for this," your brain logged help equals burden. If they got angry, your brain recorded help equals unsafe. Even if it only happened a few times, even if that parent was going through their own hell and it had nothing to do with you. Your 3-year-old brain didn't have sophisticated thinking to understand context. It just recorded the pattern. Here's where it gets darker. Your child brain then used that pattern as evidence. It thought, okay, so I need to figure things out myself. Other people aren't safe to depend on. I need to be independent. And that thinking, That became your survival strategy. Now, survival strategies are useful when you're actually in danger. But here's the problem. You're not a kid anymore. You're not actually in danger. And yet your nervous system is still running code from when you were 5. Let me be specific, because this matters. When you even think about asking for help, your amygdala lights up like a fire alarm. The part of your brain that processes threat. It's triggering a stress response. Your cortisol goes up. Your body tenses. You feel that flutter of anxiety. From your brain's perspective, you're about to do something dangerous. So what does it do? It creates obstacles. It generates thoughts. They're too busy. I shouldn't burden them. I should figure this out myself. If I ask, they'll think less of me. This is embarrassing. These aren't beliefs you consciously chose. They're ancient survival software running in the background. And the worst part, this pattern creates a feedback loop that reinforces itself. You avoid asking for help. You struggle alone. You eventually figure something out, or you don't, but you stop trying. Your brain says, "See, you did it yourself. Good job." And it reinforces the pattern over and over for years, until asking for help feels completely unnatural. So let me give you a real example of how this plays out. You're working on a project at work. You hit a wall. You don't understand the system. A colleague walks by. You think about asking them. But immediately your chest tightens. Your mind generates, "They're already busy. I'm bothering them. I should figure this out." So you don't ask. You spend the next 4 hours stuck. You're frustrated. You're wasting time. But your brain is celebrating because you didn't ask for help. That's sick when you actually think about it. Your nervous system is literally preventing you from being efficient, being happy, and progressing, just to maintain a pattern that made sense when you were 6 years old. Now here's the good news that actually changes everything. Your brain is not fixed. Those neural pathways aren't permanent. Neuroscience has proven this over and over. You can rewire this. This is going to feel personal because it's probably going to be accurate for you. There are basically 3 primary sources for this pattern. Sometimes it's one, usually it's a combination. The first source is a parent or caregiver who was stressed, dismissive, or unavailable when you reached out. I'm not saying they were bad people. I'm saying they were overwhelmed, exhausted, going through something, and when you asked for help, they couldn't show up the way you needed. Your brain learned reaching out gets rejected. I need to stop doing it. Some of you might remember specific moments. Your parents saying, "Not now." Your mother being too depressed to help you with homework. Your dad being too angry. Coming home from school with a problem and getting shut down. But here's what's crazy. Some of you won't remember anything specific because your brain optimized it away. It just generalized the pattern and moved on. The second source is more subtle. It's when someone you needed was physically there but emotionally unavailable. Your parent was present but distracted, or they made you feel like your problems were interruptions, or they responded with frustration instead of curiosity. You learn, my needs are inconvenient. I'm too much. I should manage myself. This one is particularly insidious because you can't even point to a specific rejection. It's just a feeling you absorbed, that your existence, your needs, your problems was a burden. And then there's the third source. This one surprises people. Sometimes the pattern comes from a parent who was too helpful. Sounds weird, right? But stay with me. If your parent solved every problem for you, if they never let you struggle, if they swooped in immediately every time you had an issue, you might have learned something backward. You learned that you weren't capable, that you needed someone else to save you, that you should expect rescue instead of being resourceful. So as you got older, you flipped into the opposite. You decided you never wanted to be in that dependent position again. You decided you'd be the opposite. You'd never need anyone. That's still the pattern, just inverted. Now I need to be clear about something because this matters. None of these situations mean your parents were bad. They were just human, imperfect, doing their best with whatever they had. But the impact is real, the pattern is real, and it's affecting your life right now. When you can't ask for help, you're not just struggling with a task, you're isolated, you're carrying weight you don't have to carry, you're making things harder than they need to be, and the people who care about you, they want to help. They actually feel hurt when you don't let them, but you don't see it that way. You see asking for help as failure, as weakness, as putting someone out. Here's what most people don't realize about avoiding asking for help. The cost isn't just personal. It's not just that you're stressed or struggling. The costs compound, they branch out, they poison multiple areas of your life. Let's start with relationships. When you can't ask for help, you create distance, real distance. Your partner offers to help with something and you say, "I've got it," but then you're stressed about it. You're taking longer than necessary. You're irritable because you're overwhelmed. And they feel the coldness, they feel the rejection. Over time, they stop offering. They learn that you don't want their support. And intimacy requires vulnerability. It requires the ability to ask and receive. If you can't do that, your relationships become transactional, superficial, safe, but hollow. Your career gets capped. Think about the highest performers in your field, the ones who are actually progressing. They know how to ask, they know how to delegate, they know how to reach out when they need mentorship. You're grinding alone, you're trying to figure everything out yourself. You're not leveling up because you won't ask someone ahead of you how they did it. So you stay stuck in the same position, making the same mistakes other people already solved for. And your mental health takes the hit. Chronic stress from trying to handle everything alone increases cortisol. Your nervous system stays activated. You can't relax. You're always in low-grade fight or flight. This leads to burnout, anxiety, sometimes depression. All of it preventable if you could just ask for help. You also miss out on opportunities because you're too busy fixing problems alone. While you're debugging your life at midnight, there's something else you could be doing. Learning, creating, building, moving forward. But you don't have the bandwidth because you're carrying everything yourself. Here's the thing that should actually scare you. This pattern is self-perpetuating, and it's quietly stealing your potential. Every time you avoid asking for help, you reinforce the neural pathway. You strengthen the belief. You prove to your brain that you should continue avoiding it. It's like you're building a cage, brick by brick, and the cage is so familiar now that you forget you could leave. But here's where it shifts, because you can change this. Not gradually, not over years, but actually measurably change your relationship with asking for help. The first step is awareness, which is what we've been doing. You now understand that this isn't about you being weak. It's not about you being independent or strong. It's about a pattern your brain adopted for protection. That awareness alone is powerful, but awareness isn't enough. You need a framework, a way to actually reprogram this. And here's how it works. Your brain is fundamentally driven by safety. It wants to protect you. So when you try to ask for help, it generates threat signals, but threat signals can be updated. Your brain can learn new information. The way you update it is through deliberate exposure combined with evidence collection. You start small, you ask for something small, something low stakes. You're at a coffee shop. You ask the person at the counter for a napkin recommendation. Seems silly, but you're literally training your nervous system that asking is safe. Then you escalate. You ask a coworker for feedback. You ask a friend for advice. You ask your partner for help with something. And here's the critical part. You pay attention to what happens. Nothing bad happens. The person doesn't judge you. They don't reject you. They don't think less of you. In fact, most people feel honored to be asked. They feel like you trust them. Your brain collects this evidence. Slowly, the threat signal gets weaker. Over time, and this is the key, you're literally rebuilding the neural pathway. Instead of asking for help equals threat, It becomes asking for help equals connection. Instead of I need to handle this alone, it becomes I can involve the people who care about me. This isn't wishful thinking, this is neuroscience. The other critical element is giving yourself permission. Your mind is going to fight this at first. It's going to say the old things, you're bothering them. You should figure this out. No, that's normal, that's just your protection system trying to do its job, but you get to decide if those thoughts are helpful. And they're not, so you acknowledge them, and then you ask anyway. This is where the actual change happens, not in the asking itself, but in the decision to ask despite the anxiety. That's where you build new neural pathways. Okay, so here's how you actually implement this. Step 1 is identifying where this pattern shows up strongest in your life. Is it at work? Is it with your partner? Is it with friends? Is it with family? Be specific. Write it down if you need to, because you're probably not avoiding asking for help in all situations. You're probably better in some areas and completely locked down in others. The goal is to identify the specific context where your nervous system says no. Step 2 is creating what I call an asking hierarchy. At the bottom are low-stakes asks. Asking for a napkin, asking for the time, asking for a recommendation. In the middle are medium-stakes asks, asking a coworker for help with a problem, asking a friend for advice, asking for feedback. At the top are high-stakes asks, asking your partner for emotional support, asking your boss for help or mentoring, asking family for something vulnerable. You start at the bottom and work your way up. Don't skip steps. Your nervous system needs practice with the lower levels first. Step 3 is tracking evidence. Every single time you ask for help, I want you to notice what happens. Did they judge you? Did they reject you? Did they think less of you? Almost definitely no, but your brain needs to collect actual data points to update its beliefs, so you track it. You notice the positive outcome. You let your brain register it. I asked Sarah for help and she said yes immediately and seemed happy to do it. That's data, that's a brick in the new pathway. Step 4 is reframing what asking for help actually means. It's not weakness, it's wisdom, it's not burden, it's connection, it's not failure, it's efficiency. The strongest people in the world ask for help constantly. They have support systems, they delegate, they leverage. Weakness is struggling alone and pretending you're fine. Strength is saying, I need help, and actually getting it. Your brain has been running the opposite narrative. Now you're going to update it. Now I'm going to be real with you about this. When you start implementing this, your nervous system is going to resist hard. You're going to think of reasons not to ask. Your mind is going to generate elaborate justifications for staying silent. They're probably busy. It's not that important. I should be able to figure this out. If I ask, I'm inconveniencing them. All of those thoughts are going to feel true. Here's the thing about thoughts, though. They feel like facts, but they're not. They're just your protective system generating threat narratives. The way you know they're not facts is that other people don't have those thoughts. Your friend Sarah doesn't think, I'm inconveniencing people when I ask for help. She just asks, why? Because her nervous system wasn't trained to see asking as dangerous, but yours was, so the thoughts are predictions based on old data, not current reality. Here's something that will flip your mind. When you avoid asking for help, you feel relief. Immediate relief. Your anxiety drops. That feels good. That feels like the right choice. So your brain reinforces it. But here's the paradox, that relief is actually your brain's threat system deactivating because you avoided the threat. It's not actually making you safer, it's making the avoidance stronger. The real safety comes from the discomfort of asking, from the evidence that it actually is safe. This is based on something called exposure response prevention. It's the most effective treatment for anxiety disorders. The model is simple. You expose yourself to the thing that makes you anxious. And you don't engage in the avoidance behavior. You ask for help, even though you're anxious. You don't retreat. And you notice that nothing bad happens. Your anxiety naturally decreases over time through habituation, not because you're braver, not because you're tougher, but because your brain learns the threat isn't real. Now let me set expectations. This isn't a 2-week transformation, it's not a quick fix. You've been building this pattern for potentially decades. The neural pathways are well established. Multiple reinforcements a day, so rewiring takes time, consistency, deliberate practice. You're probably looking at weeks or months to see real shifts depending on how ingrained the pattern is. But here's what's wild. Most people see noticeable changes within 3 to 4 weeks if they're actually doing the work. The anxiety drops, the avoidance urge weakens, becomes slightly easier to ask. And then something magical happens. Once you've successfully asked for help a few times, your brain has real evidence. The narrative starts to shift. You realize people actually want to help you. You realize that vulnerability doesn't push people away. It brings them closer. You realize that asking for help isn't weakness. It's the foundation of real connection. Now, I want to go deeper into something because this is the piece most people miss. Your avoidance of asking for help isn't actually about asking for help. It's about trust. It's about whether you believe people can be trusted with your vulnerability. It's about whether you believe you're worthy of receiving. It's about whether you believe your needs matter. When you were a kid, someone important failed to show up when you needed them, or they showed up inconsistently, or they showed up in a way that hurt you. Your developing brain learned, people can't be trusted with my needs. So you stopped asking, you stopped needing, or you learned to need things nobody could take away. Approval, achievement, control. But the core belief stays, I can't depend on others. Underneath that is usually something even deeper. A belief that you're not worthy of being taken care of. That your needs are too much. That you're supposed to be fine on your own. Some of you might have learned this because you had to be the strong one, the one who held it together, the emotional support for the parent instead of vice versa. Some of you learned it because your needs were constantly deprioritized. Some of you learned it because of what wasn't said, the absence of reassurance, the absence of I'm here for you. Attachment theory explains this perfectly. When a child's needs are consistently met, they develop secure attachment. They trust that people are there for them, so as adults they can ask for help without anxiety. When a child's needs are inconsistently met or ignored, they develop anxious or avoidant attachment. Avoidant attachment is what we're talking about here. The child learns to shut down the asking mechanism. I don't need anyone. Not because it's true, but because it's safer. Here's where self-compassion becomes crucial. You need to understand that this pattern isn't your fault. You were a kid. You couldn't control your environment. You couldn't choose your parents or your circumstances. Your nervous system did exactly what it was designed to do. It adapted to the world it was in. You developed this avoidance pattern because it was the smartest move available to you at that time. It was protective, it was survival, and now you get to intentionally update it. Not by hating yourself for having it, not by forcing yourself to change through willpower, but by understanding it, honoring it, and then deciding consciously that you're ready for something different. This is the shift from self-criticism to self-compassion, and it's the actual foundation for real change. Let me paint a picture of what this looks like on the other side. Imagine you have a problem, something real, something that's causing you stress, and instead of lying awake, spiraling, you reach out, you text your friend, you call your mentor, you ask your partner. No anxiety, no shame, no internal debate about whether you're bothering them. You just ask, like it's normal, like you deserve support. Because here's the thing, you do. And then something shifts in your relationships. Your partner feels closer to you because you let them in. Your friends feel valued because you're trusting them with something real. Your mentor gets to pass on wisdom that actually helps you grow. You're not isolated anymore. You're part of something, connected. In your career, things move differently. You ask better questions, you get better answers, you learn faster, you reach out to people ahead of you. They become mentors instead of mysterious figures you study from a distance. You delegate instead of dying, trying to do everything yourself. Your work improves, your stress decreases, your trajectory changes, your body feels different. You're not in chronic, low-grade fight or flight anymore. Your cortisol normalizes, you sleep better. Your nervous system can actually rest. You have more energy, more clarity, more capacity. That's what a rewired nervous system feels like. But the biggest change is internal. Your identity changes. You're no longer the person who has to figure everything out alone. You're the person who knows how to get help, who knows how to build a team, who knows how to leverage. That identity is stronger, more resilient, more connected, and it's built on truth instead of fear. Okay, so let me synthesize all of this into a framework you can actually use. This is what I call the Rewired Help Asking framework. It has 5 components. Component 1, awareness. You understand that your avoidance pattern comes from early learning. It's not a character flaw, it's adaptation. You identify specifically where this pattern shows up in your life. You notice the thoughts and anxiety that arise when you think about asking. Component 2, permission. You give yourself explicit permission to ask for help. Not someday, not when you're more deserving. Now, you acknowledge that asking for help is not weak, it's wise. You decide that your needs matter, that you're worth supporting. This is the mindset shift. Component 3, exposure. Hierarchy. You create a list of asks from easy to hard. Easy, asking for recommendations, asking for help with small tasks. Medium, asking for advice, asking for feedback. Hard, asking for emotional support, asking for help with vulnerable things. You start at the bottom. You practice, you collect evidence. You move up as your nervous system gets the data that asking is safe. Component 4, evidence. Tracking. Every time you ask for help, you notice what happens. Did the person say yes or no? How did they respond? With enthusiasm or reluctance? What did you tell yourself would happen versus what actually happened? This is how your brain learns. Through actual data. Not through thinking positively, through reality testing. Component 5, integration. You make asking for help a regular practice. It becomes part of who you are. You ask when you need to. You don't apologize. You don't explain excessively. You just ask and you receive. This framework is based on attachment repair, cognitive restructuring, and exposure therapy. It's not theoretical, it works. Thousands of people have used variations of this exact process to rewire their avoidance patterns. I'm going to address the obstacles because they will come up. Obstacle 1. What if they say no? This is the big fear, the catastrophe in your mind. Here's the truth. They might. Some people will be too busy. Some people will say no. That happens, but here's what's important. If someone says no, it's not a verdict on you. It's information about their capacity right now. It doesn't mean you're a burden. It means they can't help with this particular thing. And you know what? When people say no to you, you can actually respect that. You can't force them to help. That's healthy. But another person will say yes. And by practicing asking, you're building the capacity to hear no without it destroying you. Obstacle 2. I'm afraid of looking weak. This is the shame piece. But here's the reality. Asking for help isn't weakness. Not asking is weakness, because when you can't ask, you can't learn, you can't grow, you can't connect. The strongest people in the world ask for help constantly. It's literally how they got so strong. Vulnerability isn't weakness, it's the foundation of strength. Obstacle 3. I've tried this before and it didn't work. Okay, so this usually means one of 2 things. Either you did it once or twice and expected massive change. You need consistency. Or you did it, but your nervous system was so activated that you reverted to old patterns. And this is normal. Change isn't linear. You're going to have setbacks. You're going to have moments where you retreat. That's not failure. That's the process. The path isn't a straight line up. It's more like 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But the overall trajectory goes up. So when you set back, you just keep going. Obstacle 4. What if I ask and they use it against me? This is betrayal fear. Deep stuff. And listen, if you're in relationships where people actually use vulnerability against you, that's a boundary issue. That's a sign you need to be more selective about who you're vulnerable with. Not everyone deserves your vulnerability, but most people are trustworthy. And the way to find out is to test it. You ask small things first. You observe how people respond. Most of them will come through, some won't, and you adjust who you ask. But you stop letting one potential bad outcome stop you from all good outcomes. I want to circle back to neuroscience for a moment because this is actually the most empowering part. Your brain isn't fixed. I know that's been said a lot in pop psychology, but it's actually true at the level of neurobiology. Neural pathways are created through repeated activation. You've activated the avoid asking for help pathway thousands of times, which means the connections are strong. The neurons fire easily. The pattern is entrenched. But, and this is the critical part, neuroplasticity means you can create new pathways. And the beautiful thing about new pathways is they're plastic, they're flexible. But here's the thing nobody tells you, the old pathway doesn't disappear. It's still there. It's still got all those connections. What happens is a new pathway develops in parallel. And then, through repeated use, the new pathway gets stronger. It becomes the default instead of the old one. This is why consistency matters so much. You're not trying to erase the old pattern. You're building a stronger new one. It typically takes 2 weeks to start noticing some shifts in awareness, 4 to 6 weeks to see behavioral changes, 8 to 12 weeks for the new pattern to feel somewhat natural, 6 months to a year for it to truly become your baseline. I know that sounds long, but consider it against how long you've been running the avoidance pattern. This is actually pretty fast. And here's something beautiful that happens. Your brain has this process called synaptic pruning. Basically, the connections you don't use get weaker and eventually get pruned away. So as you build the new pathway and stop using the old avoidance mechanism, that old pathway starts to weaken. It doesn't disappear instantly, but it fades. This is where something really profound happens. Most people think change is about behavior. You change what you do and then your beliefs change. That's actually backwards. Real change starts with identity. You have a self-concept, an internal narrative about who you are. I'm the kind of person who figures things out alone. I'm independent. I don't need anyone. These feel like facts about you, but they're actually just stories. Stories that your nervous system reinforces because they feel safe. But here's the thing. When you start asking for help despite your anxiety, you're collecting evidence that contradicts that story. I asked for help and the world didn't collapse. So maybe I'm not someone who can't ask. I asked for help and the other person seemed happy to give it. So maybe I'm not a burden. I asked for help and it actually made my relationship stronger. So maybe I'm capable of being vulnerable. These are data points against your old identity, and your brain can't ignore data forever. Eventually, the narrative shifts. You become someone who can ask for help, not because you're trying to be brave, but because that's what the evidence supports. This is identity-based change. You're not forcing yourself through willpower. You're updating your self-concept based on actual evidence. And once the identity shifts, the behavior becomes easy because you're not fighting yourself anymore. You're just being who you actually are. And here's what's wild about this. As you expand your identity to include the capacity to ask for help and receive it, you expand in other ways too. You become more confident. You become more resilient because you have people. You become more creative because you're not stuck in problem-solving mode all the time. You become more yourself because you're not using all your energy managing the image of being fine. I want to talk about something specific about what happens in relationships when you learn to ask for help. Because this is where real connection happens. There's something called the reciprocity principle. Humans are wired to reciprocate. When someone helps you, you feel obligated to help them back. When you share something vulnerable with someone, they feel safe sharing back. But here's what happens when you never ask for help. You break reciprocity. You're essentially saying, you can rely on me, but I won't rely on you. That's an imbalance. And your relationships feel the strain. Most people don't consciously realize they resent this, but they do. Your partner might feel like you don't trust them, like you don't want intimacy. Your friends might feel like the relationship is one-directional. Your colleagues might sense that you see yourself as separate. But when you start asking for help, something shifts. You give people permission to rely on you. You create space for mutual vulnerability. You allow reciprocity. And relationships deepen. Real connection happens through the exchange of need and response. If you never allow yourself to need, you can't have real connection. Here's the thing about high performers. They don't think of themselves as solo operators. They think of themselves as team members. They know their strengths. They know their limitations. They ask for what they need. They build teams around them. And because of that, they accomplish exponentially more. So as you work through this, you're not just learning to ask for help. You're building a support system. You're identifying the people in your life who are trustworthy, the ones who show up, the ones who follow through, the ones who make you feel safe, and you're letting them in. One thing people miss about rewiring patterns is that it's not a destination. It's not like you fix it once and then it's done. It's an ongoing practice. Because here's the truth. When you're stressed, when you're in crisis, when your nervous system is activated, you're going to want to revert. You're going to want to retreat into old patterns because they feel familiar. That's not failure. That's just what happens under stress. Your nervous system goes to what it knows when it feels threatened. So asking for help becomes a practice, not something you master and move on from, something you keep practicing. And that's actually beautiful because it means you never stop growing. You never stop connecting. You never stop expanding your capacity for vulnerability. You might notice that some seasons of life are easier for this than others. When you're stable and healthy, asking for help feels natural. When you're in crisis, it gets harder. That's fine. You just keep practicing. You ask when you can. You remind yourself why you're doing this. You keep building that new pathway. And here's something that happens over time. As the surface level avoidance pattern gets rewired, deeper layers sometimes emerge. Older, more foundational beliefs about worth or trust. Trauma responses you didn't know were there. When that happens, you might benefit from therapy. Real professional support, there's no shame in that. In fact, that's asking for help in its most direct form. But the beauty is, you've already started rewiring. You're already asking for help, so you're already primed to get it. I want you to think about your specific situation right now. What's the thing you're struggling with that you haven't asked for help on? What's the problem that's keeping you up at night? You know what it is. You probably thought about asking someone, and then you talked yourself out of it. You generated reasons, justifications, explanations for why you should figure it out alone. I'm telling you right now, you can ask. It's okay. It's more than okay. It's actually the best thing you could do for yourself, for the other person, for the situation. Here's what I want you to do. Right after this, I want you to identify one person, someone you trust at least somewhat, someone who has shown up for others. And I want you to ask them for help with something. It doesn't have to be the biggest thing. It can be small, but ask. and notice what happens. Notice whether they say yes or no. Notice how you feel when you ask. Notice how they respond. That's one data point for your new pathway. One piece of evidence that asking is survivable, is possible, is actually connecting. Here's the thing that ties everything together. Most of us are taught that independence is strength, that needing people is weakness, that you should be fine on your own. That's such a limited way to live. The actual truth is this: you're not meant to do it alone. Humans are social creatures. We're meant to be in relationship, in connection, in interdependence. Not codependence where you need someone to survive, but interdependence where you have people and they have you, where you ask and give, where vulnerability is normal. Real strength isn't independence. Real strength is the capacity to be vulnerable, to ask for what you need, and to show up for others when they ask. Real strength is knowing your own limits and being honest about them. Real strength is connection. And here's the thing that should matter most to you. Your life quality increases exponentially when you can ask for help. Not a little bit, exponentially. Because you're no longer carrying things alone. You have support, you have perspective, you have collaboration. Your problems get solved faster, your relationships get deeper, your growth accelerates. So you came into this video understanding that your avoidance pattern came from early learning, that it was designed to protect you, that it's been limiting you, and now you understand that you can rewire it, that asking for help is a skill that develops through practice, that your brain is plastic and can change, and most importantly, you understand that you deserve support, that your needs matter, that asking for help isn't weakness, it's wisdom, it's strength, it's the foundation of real, connected living. So here's what I want you to do right now. First, if this resonated with you, if you recognized yourself in this pattern, I want you to know you're not alone. Thousands of people are rewiring this exact pattern right now. Second, take that one action I mentioned. Identify someone. Ask for help with something, anything. Let your nervous system collect the evidence that it's safe. Third, give yourself permission. Permission to need, permission to ask. Permission to rely on people, permission to be human, because that's what this is actually about. You're not broken, you're not weak. You're learning to be human in the way humans are actually designed to be. Connected, interdependent, whole. And that changes everything.